Please join me in welcoming to the stage from Epson, we have Gavin, and from Magnum Materials, we have Stuart. Come on up, gentlemen. Put your hands together. Good to see you.
You too, David.
And good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Come and grab a seat on our sofa. It's comfy for two, it'll be cozy for three later on. Let me tell you that for a start.
Like sardines.
All right, so Epson, of course, it needs no introduction. Magnum labels, Magnum Materials. Just tell us a bit about what you do.
So Magnum is one of Epson's distributors. Epson doesn't deal direct with the public, so we would be sitting between them. So we sell the solution, we advise on materials, labels, look after the customer, do the installation, and make sure that everything runs smoothly for them.
Okay.
Our specific use for Epson is that we're specialists in our market. We've been there for 40 years doing materials. So if there's weird and wonderful special applications that people need, that's our real niche. And
we were talking earlier on and describing it as that last mile, if you like. Yeah, okay. And then as far as Epson's concerned, as I say, a brand that's obviously very, very well known in the printing and in the labeling industry. Let's just take us towards the live demo here and the innovation. What's the context around what it is that you're going to be showing us here today, Gavin?
Yeah, sure. So to help us, I've got the slides behind me here. So the story so far is that we introduced the C6000 series during the lockdown period and COVID, and the market was screaming out really, and all of our users wanted to see a 12-inch product, but they also wanted to see a very high quality product. So we introduced the 6000 series and it went down an absolute storm. It's been quite difficult to hit sales targets since then because of how well it did during that financial year.
Nice problem to have.
Very nice problem to have. But yeah, so it was very, very popular indeed, and pretty much took us into areas that we didn't operate in beforehand. So people who required larger labels, for example, the chemical marketplace, who typically have to fit a certain amount of information onto the label, but other areas as well, it did very well with. So we also introduced a peel and present version. So the products that you can see behind me with a PE on the end of them were peel and present versions of the product. So effectively what you had was the ability to one by one apply labels, and you could either do that by hand or you could do that using a robot or an automated process. So that was the C6000 series. A very, very large private label pet food company installed some of our products on their automated production line using their robots. And it was quite an impressive sort of setup where the dog food or cat food bag would go down, the label would be printed and picked up by the robot, slapped on one side of the packaging, it would then flip over and they'd slap another label on the other side of the product, off it went. So they installed in total 3 production lines using this system, and it was quite something to see. This company, they private label for a lot of the big pet food organizations, so they're actually the people behind the manufacturing of the pet food originally. And they print millions and millions of labels a year, so it's very high production. Yeah. But what they found was that their customers that they were printing the labels for were saying, these labels are great, we love them, but can you make them a little bit more poppy? Can you make them a little bit more vivid in terms of their colors? And also, we're finding that the ones that are undergoing a lot of abrasion occasionally have a little bit of scratching on the label. Right. So can you do anything about that? And that was a request from the customer. So being Epson, we love to listen to our customers. And what we did was produce the D6000 product, which uses the D stands for dye. So before then we had pigment-based products with the ink, and we moved over and had the same 6000 series, but with dye inks. And with glossy labels, what that actually did for you was the dye droplets would go further into the substrate of the label, and it would mean that not only on glossy media it would produce much more vivid colours, but it would also be much more durable. And that, in essence, the company that we were dealing with, the pet food company, were overjoyed with the results of that.
So moving from pigment, which sits on top,
Yes.
to the dye, which actually goes into
Yes.
the label, substrate, material, whatever, makes it much hardier, makes it much more resistant to the folding and scratching stuff. That is, particularly if something's stored on a shelf for a long time, your example earlier, it means that it's going to be able to withstand that. It's going to be more resilience to the rough and tumble that pet food packs inevitably
Completely, absolutely.
encounter.
Yeah, so I mean, Stuart from Magnum here, you manufacture labels, so
Yep,
you're very
absolutely.
well placed to sort of say how that works and
Yeah.
why that works.
The original market used a lot of dye-based in other technologies, and none of those technologies have the same durability that Epson's now made with the dye-based version they've got. So it really is a good innovation from our market. If you use a pigment-based product on a matte material, there are a few of those products which are BS 5609 approved, which is a marine use certification, so that if your chemicals or your oil or whatever product you've got fell off a boat, fell into the sea, then that product would be still legible in 3 months' time, having sat under the water in the sea.
Right.
So BS 5609 is something that's very important in our market for matte materials, which is where everybody went with durability. So this change is more about cosmetic looks to the label to make vibrancy. It's not BS 5609 approved when you go into gloss, but gloss with durability is a much better product, and lots of people will be really interested in this.
And when you are working with dyes and they are kind of going into the material that you're printing them on, are there any downsides there? Are there any concerns around contamination or anything? Are they altering or potentially putting at risk the quality or adding something that shouldn't be there, depending upon whether it's a foodstuff type product?
Only what Stuart has just mentioned about the BS 5609 accreditation. So you can't achieve it with that.
Okay.
On a gloss material.
Yet we're all about innovation here, so who knows what might happen at some point in the future.
Indeed.
Great. Okay. So with that said, is there anything else that you want to add before we dive over and see your colleague show us this in action?
So I don't want to go into feeds and speeds, how fast it is. 'Cause
I love feeds and speeds.
It'll bore the pants off you, quite frankly. So just to let you know that it is very, very easy to set up and use, and very, very kind of interconnectable with various different systems. So whether you're running Linux or some other fairly obscure, shall we say, operating systems or systems out there, it is supported, and various different connectivity types for the product as well as not just connectivity types, but we have quite advanced I/O facilities if you want to integrate the product within application systems or conveyor systems or that kind of thing too. So yeah, it's all supported. You can read it here, and yeah, absolutely, please inquire further if you want to know more. It's the final piece of the jigsaw in the range. So that's it, really. It's demo time.
There we go. It's demo time, and not for the first time. Let's say it's over to you, Graham. Graham, at the Epson stand, can you see and hear us? Or no, not see us. We can see you, but can you hear us?
You can see me. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, David?
Loud and clear, Graham. Well, we've just been getting the overview here from Gavin and Stuart about the D6000. You've got one there in front of you. Take it away. Show us this printer in action.
Lovely. Thanks, David. Yes, so my name's Graham Anscombe, and I am a technical sales specialist for Epson UK on a business systems team. Welcome to the Epson stand at PPMA. And this is the star of Gavin's presentation and of our show today. So this is our new Epson ColorWorks D6500 series, part of a 6000 series of products. And as any customers that are already familiar with us may be thinking, well, this looks a very familiar device. I've seen this before. And the fact is, yes, you probably have seen it because we have expanded our 6000 range, which has historically used the pigment inks to include this new dye-based ink model. So all of the printers that people may be familiar with in the 6000 range so far, including the 4-inch wide, the 8-inch wide, the auto cutter, the peel and present unit, they are now available with the dye-based inks that Gavin has been explaining to you. So the first thing I'll do is actually get this printer printing before I start taking it apart and showing other parts of it to you. So the printer is built around Epson's precision core printhead technology, exactly the same as all the other ColorWorks devices are. Our precision core printheads are a micro piezo based technology, which means they are a heat-free inkjet printhead. So they're low energy, but also very high precision. We're able to obtain feedback from our print heads to ensure that the printer maintains print quality throughout the printing of the labels, and you're able to get very high quality glossy finish labels now using this dye ink. As Gavin has sort of gone into, the dye-based ink goes into the surface of label media a bit more than the pigment style inks do, so it offers different types of durability over what the pigment has before. Pigment is good for some things, dye is good for others, so the good news is that we can now cover pretty much all the bases in terms of label durability. So other features, as you can see on this product, we're actually looking at the 8-inch wide model here today. So the 6500 means 8-inch wide. We do have it in the form factor that you can see to the left as well. So the 4-inch wide, depending upon the size of labels that a customer might want to produce. Print speeds, Gavin mentioned not going through those, but very quickly you'll be able to achieve a couple of inches a second print speed on these devices, which make them good for sort of medium production runs. You know, thousands a day is not a problem on these units. Taking you around the product a little, it's easy to operate with large 80 milliliter dye ink cartridges, which are straightforward to remove from the printer and replace. They are, again, the same to look at as they were in the existing pigment printer, but now containing the dye ink. So easy access there. Media is accessed through this multi-purpose hopper in the back of the machine. So obviously these are roll-fed devices. So you install a roll of label media up to either 6 or 8 inches diameter. So it's fairly industrial scale roll of material. We are showing a continuous material in this printer today, but it will take die-cut labels of many shapes and sizes. The only other consumable that this printer requires is a maintenance box where it puts ink used during cleaning of the print heads. That may sound an unusually small number of consumables to put in a printer, and the main reason for that being that Epson's Precision Core print heads are not a consumable item. So unlike a lot of other label printers out there, our print heads are designed to last the life of the printer and are covered by the Epson warranty for however long you choose to purchase that warranty for. So these are extremely robust and reliable units that will keep running for years and years without the same kind of consumables expense that you might find in other brands. In terms of how you can utilize the printer, if you follow me around to this side of the device, there's multiple connectivity options as we have always had on our ColorWorks machines. So you have a standard Ethernet network interface with USB connectivity, and then also this what appears to be like a serial port, a 25-pin external interface. This is a special interface that allows you to connect the printer with third-party devices. Such devices could be automatic applicators on conveyor systems, or much like our device over here, you could connect it to a robot apply. So we have our Epson Scar robot over there with one of these sorts of printers in the cage applying labels. So basically that is a quick overview of the die-based D6000 series printers. If you have any questions about them, feel free to come to the Epson UK stand and we will be happy to answer those and show you a demonstration. I hope that is everything you wanted to see today.
Graham, that's everything we wanted to see and much, much more. You showed me the printer potty, which always makes me happy. You lifted the lid at the back, which makes me happy as well. Great demo. Thank you very much. Put your hands together for Graham, everybody. And the good news is for fans of Graham, Graham's going to be joining me on the sofa right here in just a few moments' time, as quickly as he can trot from the other part of the floor to here. Gavin and Stuart still with us here on the sofas in the studio, in the theatre though. Anything else? Any gaps? I'm sure there weren't, but are there any gaps? Is there anything else you would like to elaborate on from what Graham was sharing with us in that live demo from the stand?
I think it's very early days for integration with application systems and what have you, but we're seeing this more and more now, and we really would kind of every single installation is very, very independent and has its own requirements. So GA Pet Foods was a very challenging installation, but we've overcome that by, as you can see, innovation, which hence that's the whole thing we're talking about today.
And with that, you said about speeds and feeds and not wanting to go into too much detail on that, but using the pet food manufacturer example that you were mentioning a moment ago, clearly they've got an enormous operation there. How does this system scale to those kind of requirements where you do have high throughput, high automation?
So every production line that GA have actually has 3 of the C6500 printers sat on. So the robot will go as fast as you want, picking up the labels. So it kind of, between the 2 printers that are in action and the redundant spare printer, the robot picks up off one, places it, picks up off the other, places it. Yeah. So you can actually have more printers within that environment. You don't just have to have one printer printing, pick up, because that slows things down. Of
course, of course. Welcome, Graham. You made good time getting over here, and we were just talking about the scalability, particularly in large-scale operations, feeds and speeds. How does this system scale up? And Gavin was saying about, we're not just going to have one printer, you multiplex these essentially there. Anything else from your point of view, Stuart, adding on to what we saw in the live demo there? Anything that we haven't covered from that last mile point of view that you bring to this?
Yeah, well, from my point of view, the demonstration from Graham is very good. I think the most important part for us is that it doesn't take a skilled technician to run the machine. It's not a complicated piece of kit. Anybody can run these. You could set this machine up yourself at home. You could be a big business. It's a machine that's suitable for everybody. We don't need huge accounts to do it. Smaller people can do it too. We've got accounts going from someone that manufactures jars of jam and small confectionery in their house, going up to huge big corporations that we deal with. So the machines are suitable for a huge variety of applications. And if anybody has got questions about whether it's suitable for them or whether we can help them, I think we're all delighted to welcome them to the stand and talk to us, or talk to us after the show.
So, cottage industry all the way up to enormous warehouse, serving pets and their owners, let's face it, across the country. Very good. You mentioned questions. I'm going to disagree with you. People don't have to wait until after the show or until when you're back at your stand. People have the opportunity to put some questions to all 3 of you right now. So, maybe you've answered all of the questions. Let's see. But if you do have any questions on the D6000 range, where it might fit, about the differences between pigment-based dyes and pigment-based and dye-based, as we've been seeing here, then this is the forum in which to ask them. So please do pop your hand up if you've got any questions, and we'll get a microphone over to you. Hello there. I'm sorry, Graham. I'm going to steal your microphone and give it to this gentleman here. Hello, what is your question, sir?
My question is, I wanted to find out if the machine has a Bluetooth or infrared, that if I want to print something from my phone direct, it's not I have to go and connect to the laptop before I print, because my phone can easily do printing. But I want to know if this new product I can just easily command from my phone and it print for me.
Yeah, so Android AirPrint type connectivity, I think is what you're talking about, or Bluetooth. What have you got?
Perhaps Software Cloud, eh?
Yeah, so the printer doesn't have a Bluetooth connectivity on it. It can be connected wirelessly if you connect it via its Ethernet cable to a wireless access point. And we do have development software kits for creating apps in Android or Apple if you need to. But obviously these are more industrial type printers for use in warehousing and business environments where quite often using Bluetooth or wireless connectivity can be unreliable. So we tended to stick with the wired connections for most purposes. But you can certainly create applications for mobile devices to talk to the printer, but you'll have to get the signal to it through a wired interface of some sort to do that.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for your question. Any more questions from the floor? Yes, we've got a question over there. I tell you what, Irene, thank you so much. The microphone is making its way, courtesy of the glamorous Irene. Hello there.
How you doing? I work for an Irish government agency who links with Irish seafood processors, and I'm just curious, do you have test machines that you can put out into the field for companies to trial, or is it a case that they go over to your facility to trial? Ideally, mobile equipment that people could test before they buy.
So as a distributor, we have a demonstration area in our factory, so people can come to us, they can test the machines, they can run whatever they need to on them. But we do also have the facility to take them out. If you've got an application where you need us to come to you, such as being in Ireland, then obviously we can do that. It just takes slightly longer. So from a demonstration point of view, you could come and see us any day next week and we'd accommodate that. If we've got to travel to Ireland, obviously that might take a couple of weeks to arrange, but absolutely, we'd be delighted.
Yeah,
Excellent.
from our perspective, we leave it to these guys. So.
Yeah.
The last mile or the last few hundred miles, as it may
Absolutely.
be, depending upon where in Ireland you are. Any more questions for our guests on the stage? No? In which case, I think we call it a day there. Thank you so much for the demo. Great demo. We've had great demos throughout the week here, I have to say, and thank you for your knowledge on here. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Graham, for Gavin, and for Stuart. Thank you.